All right, let's do it. It is time for the Morning aMEOWncements. Morning aMEOWncements on the Nightcat with Nightcat YouTube channel. I am so excited you're here. We've got a fun show coming up, including getting you all caught up on the news from the weekend. I'm going to get you talking about the pop culture headlines, and then we are going to dive into this really gross book about your body called Why You Shouldn't Eat Your Boogers. There's the craziest stories in here, and we're going to talk about one of them. I can't wait for that. But before we get into any of that, I want to very much thank everyone who came to the Nightcat True Crime walking tours this weekend. We kicked off the walking tours. They started on Thursday, and we had shows Thursday and Friday. So much fun. Everyone who showed up was so wonderful and had so many nice things to say, which I really appreciated. And we just partied all night throughout Salt Lake City. And like, it was fun to be in the city again, because now that everyone's getting vaccinated and bars are starting to open up a little more and everything, people are like on the street. Like, I had a couple people in the groups who were just like, the city feels alive again. Like, there feels like there's a pulse. So the weather was fantastic. Everyone was great. And we just had a really great time telling everyone about the crazy things that have happened. I can't believe how many horrifying things have happened in this city. It's really crazy. And we really had a great time. Now, I will say, if you're coming on tours this week, they might be a scooch different, because on Friday, so I had called ahead, and the whole plan was to stop halfway through the tour at a pit stop so everyone could get some drinks at a bar and go use the restroom and stuff like that. Well, I called ahead to our pit stop bar, and they said they could gladly accommodate us. It was never going to be a problem. And Thursday night, they had kind of bad attitudes about it, but they sat us, and I was like, all right, whatever. I'm not going to get down on them. They're working a service job during the pandemic. Like, crap sucks right now. I'm not going to get too down on them. And then Friday night rolls around. I have a group of 20 people, like I told them on the phone when I called them. And they say, oh, we can't seat you guys. And I was like, what? Because now I have 20 people that I'm trying to, take care of. And they were like, no. We're still only limiting it to groups of 10. I'm like, well, first of all, that's not what you said on the phone. But second of all, fine, we're 2 groups of 10 then. And he goes, well, no, we don't have any 10 tops available. We only have 4 tops. And I was like, okay, then we're 5 groups of 4. And he was just like, no, listen, guys, it's not happening. That's not how it works. I'm like, that's not how math works? There were plenty of seats. It's an enormous bar. They had more than enough room. They just didn't want to. And I was so frustrated, but everyone on the tour was so nice about it. So if that was you and you were on that tour, thank you for being wonderful. We kept the tour going, and it was so much fun. So I'm going to try to find another pit stop bar kind of nearby that one, but we might have to get rid of the pit stops, because I don't know why no one will let us in. I have no clue. It really doesn't make any sense, because they're going to sell 20 to 40 drinks within 30 minutes. Everyone is going to tip generously because I tell them to, and then we're going to leave. Like, we're going to be out of their hair, and they will have made probably more money than they made any night during the pandemic. But we move on. We keep trucking. So that's going to be maybe a little bit different if you have tickets this week. But if you have tickets this week, the good news is I've worked out a lot of the problems on the guinea pig shows. So pretty good trade-off. All right. Thank you again so much. Hey, the test dates are pretty much sold out, so I don't have any tickets to sell right now. But if you go to the link tree in the description of this video, it says linktr.ee/JacksonWitt. If you click on that link, it'll take you to the waiting list, because now I have to take that money that I made and figure out how to get business licenses and insurances and stuff like that. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get more dates coming up. But if you want to get on the waiting list for future dates, now that the test dates are out of the way, can be found in the link tree description of this video. All right, then I guess it's time for us to get into the Morning Mews. The Morning Mews is the part of the show where I go through the pop culture headlines of the day. I get you all caught up so you don't feel left behind when you get to work and school. You got stuff to talk about. And I want to start with Joe Biden's dog, Major. Oh yes, He's in the news again. He hasn't done anything this time, but he's in the news preemptively. If you haven't been following the Joe Biden first dog Major situation, the debacle, Major is their newer puppy, their newer dog. He's not really a puppy, but he's their newer dog. And when he moved into the White House, he bit somebody on the staff. So he had to get moved back to the East Coast, to I think it was Delaware, for some training back to the Biden house. And then he moved back into the White House. And just days later, he bit someone again. So he has had an enhanced security detail. He has been watched. He has had extra trainers and dog staff on hand to prevent this from happening. Well, he has gone now through cat school. There's literally a special training that you can put your dogs through. I'm sure it costs a fortune, where you can teach them to be nice to cats, apparently. And Major went through this training, and they took him to a cat shelter, and he didn't seem to care that much about cats. And the reason they're doing all this is because Dr. Jill Biden was on the Today Show, and she talked about how she really wanted a cat, so they're planning on getting one. They're adopting a cat and bringing it to the White House. And I'm just like, that cat's dead in a month. That cat is dead in a month. You can't keep that dog from biting your human staff. So you're gonna bring in the one animal dogs are known to actively hunt? What are you talking about? That's ridiculous. Cat's dead in a month. They're gonna get blood all over the presidential master carpet. You mark my words. It's happening immediately. So, Godspeed. Bless that poor kitty that they end up taking to the White House. All right, Charles Manson. In 1969, obviously, he was booked for his part in the murders of Sharon Tate and her friends. Famous cult leader, crazy dude. Also, it's neither here nor there, but only 5'2". And listen, I'm a short guy. I'm only 5'8". And I know firsthand how not seriously short guys are taken. I can't imagine, like, Charlie Manson actually able to, like, now you look here, you listen to what I have to say. So silly. Like, I've known 5th graders that are taller than Charlie Manson. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But in 1969, he got booked into jail. His booking documents, it's 2 pages long, with his fingerprints on them, are now for sale from a private collector. They're 2 pages long. They include detailed physical descriptions. So, like, every part of his body, any scars, tattoos, anything like that. Detailed physical description of him. His fingerprints. It also has, like, his address listed as him being a transient, and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting, unique little piece of, like, serial killer true crime history. It's only going, I thought it would go for way more. They're only looking to get $95,000 out of it, which does, I mean, it's a lot of money. I'm not going to say that's not a lot of money, but I think they could have gotten more, quite frankly. And I think Zach Baggins from the Las Vegas Haunted Museum, I think he's going to buy it in a heartbeat. He already has Charlie Manson's ashes, his cremains are in that museum, so I'm assuming he'll get those booking documents and just put them nice and framed right next to old Charlie. I wasn't expecting that. I went to that museum. They did not warn you. There were no signs. There was no fanfare. They didn't tell you what was happening as you walk into the room. There's just suddenly Charlie Manson's cremated remains right there in a glass case. It was nuts. All right, the Kardashians were hit with another stalker. So if we've been following all of the celebrity stalkers and break-ins on this show because there have been so many lately. But Kendall Jenner, after 2 break-ins from the same guy, she ended up moving from her Calabasas house, and she sort of fled the city. Well, there's now a separate guy who tried to break in last week. The Kardashians live in a neighborhood called Calabasas, and Calabasas is, like, fancy. That's where celebrities have their country homes. That's where actually we filmed Biggest Loser. The Biggest Loser ranch is in Calabasas. So, like, our ranch was right down the street from, like, Justin Bieber and Will Smith's house, and right across the street from us was some NFL guy. You know how I don't know the sports football. I don't remember who that was. And then, like, the Kardashian compound is quite a ways away, but they live in this, like, enormous gated community. And this guy walks up to the security gate and he says, "I'm here to see the Kardashians." And they're like, "No, you're not." And he goes, no, I'm here. And they're like, which one? He didn't even specify which Kardashian, just the Kardashians. And they were like, get out of here. So they shoo him away. And like an hour later, a couple hours later maybe, they find him wandering the neighborhood looking for the Kardashian houses because he has gone around the side and scaled a fence to get in. So they were able to take him without incident. He never made it anywhere close to any celebrity's house, from what I understand. But still scary. Still always very scary. These people, that's the thing though, like it always starts with like the stalking stuff. And everyone's like, oh, he's just a harmless weirdo. Oh, he's just a crazed fan. And then, things go south fast, so you can't like let up on them. And then finally, this one kind of makes me sad a little bit, but it's also really crazy and fun. So there's an elderly couple. They're in the secure memory ward of an assisted living facility. So they both have dementia, and they've been deemed like they can't go out into the world and be trusted to be able to navigate it and get home safe because they have degenerative like memory diseases. So, and it also like causes confusion. Suddenly you don't know where you are. And that's a killer for the elderly. They end up getting lost. They go to the park, they freeze, stuff like that happens all the time. So they need to be in a secure ward. I understand that. But these poor people must have been going so crazy because the man of this married couple from this living facility in Tennessee, he used his trained military ear. He was like a Morse code specialist back in the day, and he used his military trained ear to learn the pattern of the door code as the staff came in and out of the room. So he would sit there and he'd memorize it, and he would listen to them get in and out of the office and in and out of their rooms with these different codes. And he was able to crack the patterns, and he and his wife escaped last Tuesday. It was just like straight up a big old military Ocean's 11 style heist. He just got up, he took his wife, he figured out the code, and he walked out the door. They managed to get out for about 30 minutes before staff did a check-in and realized that the couple had been missing. The couple was found walking down the street by neighbors, and they were eventually returned back to the facility. But now the facility is like, okay, so how are we going to prevent this from happening again? Because that could have gone bad very, very quickly. They're going to change the codes on the doors regularly so he can't recognize any regular old pattern. They have promised to do more check-ins, which honestly, I don't know if you've ever worked in like an assisted living or a medical facility. I was a CNA for a little while. It's exhausting. Like, they don't staff enough people at those places, and then you're run absolutely to the bone because every one of you has like 18 patients to take care of. You got to go in there and you're responsible for taking care of everything, and there's just like, you can't split yourself into all the different rooms. It's so sad. It's horrible. The way that we take care of our elderly in this country really needs to change. But they said that they're going to try to do that, which is just not their thing. They just need to hire more staff. The management does. And then they also promised to take this guy out for more walks because he is clearly very, very bored. And that is the Morning Mews. Let's check in on the chat. Let's see how everybody's doing. Good morning, Katie. Hi, Marissa. Oh, Marissa was on the tour. Hi, Marissa. Erica, good morning. Linda. Hi, Linda. Zizor, hello. I want to answer to that book because I've heard the opposite. Don't eat your boogers. It's gross. That's where literally all the waste gets captured. It's your nose catching dust and garbage and germs and stuff with its hairs, and they conglomerate, and then, yeah, it's just nothing but dirt and germs. It's literally the stuff that your body was trying to prevent from getting in there. Don't eat your boogers. So take issue with it all you want. Good morning, Lindy. Hi, Mindy. Marissa, I know, Major. That dog. That poor guy. Hi, Sadie. Hi, Nathan. Katie. Alright, let's see. We had a pretty weird weekend. My Peyton woke up on Friday with knee pain and not able to walk. More doctor's appointments today. Wish me luck that they can figure out what's wrong with her. Aw, Katie. I'm sorry little Peyton's hurting. That's not cool. Alright. It's so good to see everyone. Good morning. Quickly before we continue, I would like to plug our Patreon. Nope, that's not it. Which one is Patreon? Patreon, there we go. Patreon.com/Nightcat Show. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's just the best. It's an awesome service where you can help support your favorite artists. I am only able to do all of this because my patrons are there supporting me every month. That's money I can count on. And I'm hustling. I'm trying to look for a job and also keep, a roof over my head and the lights on and stuff. So I am making a little extra money here and there, but the one amount that I can count on is the Patreon money. And that is always such a big piece of mine when I can count on that. Patreon.com/Nightcat Show. You can pledge either $3 a month or $5 a month. You can pledge more if you want to, but those are the two tiers. With Patreon membership, you also get certain perks, like you get the Curiosity Killed Nightcat. Those are the true crime episodes of the Nightcat Radio podcast. You get those a week early. So while episode 5 dropped for everybody on Friday, episode 6 dropped for Patreon patrons, which, by the way, okay, I guess, hold on. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I want to talk about something else. Patreon.com/Nightcat Show. Go pledge. All right. I don't know if you've listened to the episode 6. If you're a Patreon patron, I don't know if you've listened to episode 6 yet. It is the craziest thing I've ever learned about, read about, heard about in my entire life. I didn't know any of this happened. I can't believe it's not the first thing people tell me when I walk into Sandy City. There was a guy back in 1991 who stormed the maternity ward of a hospital because one of the OBGYNs there had performed his wife's tubal ligation, had tied his wife's tubes. He stormed into the medical wing, into the women's center, and held hostages at the maternity ward for like 18 hours and was gonna blow the whole hospital up. Had enough dynamite to not just blow up the hospital and the maternity ward, but the entire hospital and the entire block. It is just like the craziest story ever. So if you're a Patreon patron and you haven't listened to that one yet, go check it out. If you are not a Patreon patron, you can listen to the other episode of Curiosity Killed Nightcat that dropped on Friday on the Nightcat Radio podcast. Nightcat Radio podcast. Find it on your favorite podcast directory. Episode 5 was a very detailed account of what happened at the Trolley Square shooting. Trolley Square Mall shooting back in what was it? I don't remember. They all run together. I want to say it was like 2007, but I could be wrong. Anyway, that's all up right now. Patreon patrons, you get episode 6, and regular podcast subscribers, you get episode 5 of Curiosity Killed Nightcat. Find all of that on your podcast. Anyway, sorry, I really didn't mean to do a podcast plug there. I just remembered how crazy that last story for Curiosity Killed Nightcat was. And I was like, well, we got to talk about it for at least a second. All right, let's keep it going then with why you shouldn't... Oh, okay, I almost hit my computer off the desk. Why you shouldn't eat your boogers and other useless and gross information about your body by Francesca Gold. I got this at the Goodwill for $2 a while ago, and it's just like one of my favorite books. It's hilarious. There are so many gross things about your body that we can talk about, but this is actually nuts. And I want to know how much of it is true. But the question posed here in the book is it true that a heart transplant can change your personality? Now, medical opinion is divided about whether or not organ recipients can take on the personalities of their donors. There is anecdotal evidence that might suggest people take on some characteristics of the donors. So the medical community, doctors and researchers and stuff, just don't have enough evidence to support it, but there have been stories of it happening. Here are a couple of them. Pretty crazy. So in her 40s, American Claire Sylvia suffered from an incurable and progressive heart disease. So she was terminally ill. She was going to die without a heart. Well, an 18-year-old guy who got into a motorcycle accident and suffered severe head trauma, his heart worked just fine, and he was an organ donor. So Claire got his heart, and she survived the operation. But while she was recovering, she noticed some very strange things change about her personality. Before, she was kind of a health nut, and now she suddenly had cravings for beer and chicken wings, beer and chicken nuggets, all the time. All she could think about was drinking beer and eating chicken nuggets. And, like, it would just, like, eat at her. And then suddenly she also started having really strange, vivid dreams about some guy that she didn't know. Just like some guy would pop up in her dreams. And then up to that point in her life, she had always been straight. But suddenly she had a real penchant for ladies. She was out like, oh, wow, these ladies, especially blondes, they're just so pretty. So she ends up meeting up with the donor's family. And she asks them, like, hey, was your son, like, really into beer and chicken nuggets? And they were like, oh, yeah, beer and chicken nuggets are all that he ate. Which, you know, is good news if you're the recipient of the heart. And then she was like, was he, like, really into blondes? And they were like, oh, yeah, all of his girlfriends were blondes. He was always chasing after some blonde. And then they show her a picture. And the guy in her dreams is the donor. She's like, that's him. It's exactly who I'm seeing. So she's pretty sure she's picking up on memories left over from this guy, which is just one of the craziest, coolest things ever. And then here's another one. Prior to receiving a heart transplant, William Sheraton, a catering manager, so he was a retired guy, but he was a catering manager his whole life. He claims that he had the artistic ability of a child. He said he couldn't draw, he didn't know how to do anything, right? And then he gets his heart transplant, and suddenly becomes like Picasso. He is painting these intricate, gorgeous paintings. He is sculpting, he's drawing, has these uncanny abilities. So he finally gets the chance to meet the mother of his donor. And asks, was your son really into painting? Was he like a great artist? And she says, quote, he was very artistic. He showed an intense interest in art when he was only 18 months old. And growing up, he always preferred to be given art supplies rather than toys. Isn't that so crazy? It makes me think that, like, maybe there really is possibly one day where they could put your cryogenically frozen brain into, like, a body that they 3D print out of human materials, or maybe even a robot, and it would already, maintain all your brain and all your memories and everything, and, like, your personality, and you could just plop that brain, plop, right into a machine or something. It's happening, people. It's happening. The technology doesn't exist yet, but it will one day. The future is almost now. All right. Let's see. We did Patreon. We did the Gross Booger Book. 3 Minutes of Fish. Morning Mews. I told you to go listen to the podcast, Nightcat Radio Podcast, on your favorite podcast directory. We put not only the true crime stuff up there, because I know not everyone's into true crime. Maybe you like stupid celebrity gossip you hear in the Morning Mews. Maybe you like toy collector gossip like you hear on Nightcap with Nightcat. All sorts of stuff. I put all of the audio from all of the shows on the Nightcat Radio Podcast. So look for it on your favorite podcast directory. Just go in, and if you wouldn't mind subscribing and then just giving me like a 5-star review, a couple of sentences of what you like about the show, that really helps us attract new listeners. And the more listeners we have, the less I have to beg you for money every show, which I would certainly love. So let's get those subscriber counts up. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not subscribed yet, and go subscribe to that podcast. All right. Oh, hey, hi, Doodle with Marie. Good to see you. I hope you got here a little earlier because we're just wrapping things up around here. Hey, thank you so much. Just, I don't know. You're always wonderful. That's it. I don't have anything to say in some sort of like wrap-up rallying cry speech. Just, I really appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you've done for me. And you're wonderful, and I'm excited to keep this show going for a while. I'm going to turn it on over to the fish now for 3 minutes of fish. Enjoy. Bye. Bye.